Next up is South Carolina on the 20th, where you've got Hillary versus Bernie yet again. But do remember that Bill Clinton was America's first black president. I mean, he has tremendous relationships with the African American community there. Trump's going to crush on the Republican side with the redneck vote because they all think Donald is just wonderful. He's really he says it as it should be said. That's what our Donald says.
You're unnervingly good at that.
That's really scary. And the Republican establishment is really in deep distress because if he gains the kind of momentum out of South Carolina and Nevada going into Super Tuesday on the 1st of March, there may be no stopping him. They're very worried.
No stopping the Dawn. That's a horrendous order, isn't it? I mean, what a situation is when you get possibly he is the front runner, and you get possibly the Republican presidential nomination is him. I mean, that's amazing, really, when you think about it. Incredible. After all he said, Mexican immigrants are rapists. We need to build a wall, stop Muslims.
And get Mexico to pay for it.
Yeah. But he could well be the Republican nomination.
It's
if he gains enough momentum. And that's unbelievable, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, and
it must be scaring people like Jeb Bush's backers.
Well, Bush actually
he was a front runner initially.
Well, he got 10% of the vote in New Hampshire, and
so he seems
to feel he is coming back. So we'll see what happens. But the please clap that we did from the last episode, he's not the happy warrior out there, and he's really not enjoying having to go up against Donald.
I did love that. Just to go back on that Marco Rubio thing, that robot thing, where he said the same thing 4 times. Do you see this? In a debate, he said the same thing 4 times. He was asked a question, and just trotted out his answer, and his eyes started getting wider. So he's become a kind of robot.
Well, this is what prompted the suicide bomber thing for Christie, because it was Christie that was constantly beating him over the head without realizing that bomb was going to explode and kill them both.